The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Now after Jesus rose early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. She went out and told those who had been with him, while they were mourning and weeping. But when the disciples heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they would not believe it. After this, Jesus appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country, and they went back and told the rest, but they did not believe them. Later he appeared to the 11 themselves, as they were sitting at the table, and he upbraided them for their lack of faith and stubbornness, because they had not believed those who saw him after he had risen. And Jesus said to them, "Go into all the world and proclaim the good news to the whole creation." The Gospel of the Lord. In today's Gospel, as we continue our celebration of Easter, we see the mercy of God because, first of all, he appears to Mary Magdalene. Mary then tells the disciples what she heard, but they don't believe her. Jesus doesn't give up. He then appears in another way to 2 of them. They go back and tell the 11. They don't believe. He then appears to the 11 themselves. So 3 times, in 3 different ways, Jesus appears to those 11. And on the 3rd time, they finally get it. That mercy is like the hound of heaven always is trying in different ways to make himself known. And we see that right here in the Gospel. Now for us, that Great Commission applies not just to the apostles, but to us who are baptized. Question is whether we will take up our call, which is the great mission of baptism in the church, and that's to proclaim the good news in whichever way we can, given our charisms and talents and so forth, situation in life. Now, like the disciples, we can balk or have different ways of skirting that mission. First of all, we can think we're unworthy. But notice what Jesus does. He chooses the most unworthy, Mary Magdalene, when she had 7 demons. How does he prepare her? He exorcises those 7 demons. So he doesn't choose the qualified, but qualifies the chosen. The great mercy of God. We can then say, well, we're not eloquent. We can't speak. God will qualify us, as he did those 12. Notice the rulers and educators, the elders, the scribes. They looked at Peter and John and they said, they're uneducated, they're ordinary, but they're companions of Jesus. And they had to order them to stop speaking because they were so compelling. So the fact that we're not eloquent or we think we're not educated or don't have the training, again, Jesus doesn't choose the qualified but qualifies the chosen. And each of us are chosen in our baptism. The other possible excuse is we can simply not be willing to pay the price. There is a price for being faithful to the teachings of the church. Are we willing to do that? Now here we can pray to the saints and martyrs because they have already traveled that path. Most important, though, is personal testimony. And we all have a story. We all have experience with the Lord. And that's the most compelling witness of all. Just like St. Paul, when he had his Damascus Road experience, he preached that testimony. So let's do the unthinkable, and that is proclaim the good news in this culture. And then the Lord will provide, as he did Mary Magdalene and those 11 who were afraid, unwilling, uneducated, and yet they changed the world. Jesus does not choose the qualified, but qualifies the chosen.